Hey guys, my name is Gilberto. This video is one of many that I'll be posting online to prepare you for your IB Physics exams this coming May. Hopefully this will be used as an aid to your studying so you're not just blankly staring at your notes from sophomore year wondering how any of what you just read makes any sense whatsoever. I'm going to go through all the topics in your curriculum throughout these videos, but this one is dedicated to error propagation, uncertainty, and certainty calculations. I realize that you learned all this junior year, but it's the first item in the IB Physics curriculum, and that's what I'm working off of. So, let's get started. There are two types of uncertainties that we're going to be discussing. So, absolute, which will be denoted by a symbol delta, the little triangle thing, and has the same units as the measured quantity that you're observing, as Q. And the other one, as you might guess, is relative uncertainty. And this will be denoted by an epsilon, and this is just a percent or decimal, a fractional amount, of the measured quantity. Now, moving on. When you're doing uncertainty calculations, I'm going to be going through 4 rules. Addition and subtraction, multiplication and division, raising to a power, and multiplication of a constant. So, addition and subtraction, rule number 1, add / sub. So, the rules themselves are pretty straightforward, very similar to each other, whether you're subtracting or adding. So, let's say that we have a measured quantity A with uncertainty delta A. We are adding that to a quantity B with uncertainty delta B. Now, in this case, we're just going to be adding the absolute uncertainties. Keep in mind that because of the delta, these two are absolute. So, we are going to get A plus B plus or minus the uncertainty delta A plus delta B. Now, this is the case for addition. What if we want to subtract the two? That is absolutely fine. It's just going to be the difference between the two quantities, A minus B, with the exact same uncertainty. Delta A plus delta B. I apologize for my horrible handwriting, by the way. Now, the second rule, rule number 2, division and multiplication. Alright, so in this case we're just going to be adding the relative uncertainties, the either percent or a decimal amount of the measured quantities. So let's say we have quantity A with uncertainty epsilon sub A, and we're going to multiply that by B, which has uncertainty epsilon sub B. Now what we're going to do here, well, what I said exactly before, we're going to get as a measured quantity A times B with uncertainty epsilon sub A plus epsilon sub B. Now remember that you guys are going to need to, if they give you absolute uncertainties, you're going to need to convert them to relative uncertainties, and to do that you just divide the two. Now, if we want to divide them, pretty simple as well. We are just going to get A over B with uncertainty epsilon sub A plus epsilon sub B. Alright, now we have rule number 3. Rule number 3 is for exponents. I won't abbreviate this one just because. Exponents. Alright, so for a number raised to a power, whether the power is fractional or not, the rule is just to multiply the relative uncertainty by the power. So, again, after you convert it, after everything's all nice for you, let's say you have quantity A with uncertainty epsilon sub A, and you're raising that to the power of n. Well, this just becomes, let me just move this window down. Sorry about the limited space, by the way. Just going to move this down. We are going to get A to the power of n plus or minus n times epsilon sub A. And that's pretty much it. Now, this brings us to the last rule. Rule number 4, multiplying by a constant. Rule number 4, multiplying by some constant c. Put that in quotes for you. Now, there are two rules, one for absolute uncertainty. Rule absolute. Alright, so let's say we have c, multiplying that by this quantity a with uncertainty delta a. Well, we are just going to do c times a plus or minus c times delta a. And that's that. And then we have the last rule. Oh, sorry about that. Rule relative uncertainty. Now, for multiplying c by a, which has uncertainty epsilon sub a relative uncertainty, well, we're just not going to do anything with it. The rule is, we're still going to get the product of c times a, but the uncertainty is still going to be the relative uncertainty, because it's still a percent amount of the measured quantity. So relative uncertainty is not multiplied by the constant. And that pretty much concludes this video. Again, the IB really likes to assess you on uncertainty, especially in paper 1. I think that it'll either be within the range like questions 1 to 5. They'll always ask you questions about uncertainty. For example, they'll give you the uncertainty of an object, so of, let's say, a sphere's radius, and then they'll say, what's the uncertainty in the volume? And now that you know the rule, the power rule, got that down pat. Thank you very much, and happy studying.